What are we thinking? Do we like the new setup? It's still kind of a work in progress. I will be replacing that poster with a better one, and if you follow me on Instagram, you know exactly which one is going in that frame. But I had all this stuff lying around. I had these shelves lying around my house, and I was like, the setup could be better. So I put this together. And I kind of love it. Let me know what you think. And I honestly hate this is the first video that I'm filming in my new set because I'm about to go off. I'm sorry. I am going to do a rant. Oh man, just strap in, okay? So I went and watched AfrAID, and I wasn't... Okay, did I go in with as an open mind as I should have? Probably not, because I was not excited about this movie, okay? I kind of had some expectation because I had heard it's the same plot line as a 1999 movie called Smart House, which I should have watched prior to doing this review so I could actually report on that, if it was a stolen idea or not, or if it's just inspired by. It's different because in Smart House, they get a house that comes with this AI like nanny lady, and then in AfrAID it is a machine, and the dad gets it from work because he works in marketing, and this AI company is trying to make these Ayas, right? So the plotline is a little bit different. Obviously, one's more modern, but maybe Smart House was ahead of its time. I don't know. I just have a genuine question for Blumhouse. Are you making these as a joke? Just to see like how bad of a movie you can get away with? And I know it's not just Blumhouse. And it's not just like Jason Blum writing and making these movies. Obviously, they have different writers and different directors, and it's just kind of falling under the Blumhouse umbrella. But he was a producer on this film, so I do feel that heavy hand of Blumhouse in this, and that's not a compliment. That is, I mean that derogatory, in a derogatory way. Anyway, but genuine question, are these movies a joke? Genuinely asking, because I don't know how these movies are getting made. I'm always of the mindset that horror movies in general are an art form, and art is subjective. Everyone is going to enjoy different aspects of different things. But these movies, man, are just terrible. And I'm so tired of going to the theater to watch these Blumhouse movies, kind of knowing that they're going to be terrible. Like, I tried my best to go into Night Swim with an open mind because I thought Night Swim had a cool concept, and I was like, if the concept can be executed well, maybe it'll be good. The writing is just so bad in these movies, and I'm not sure if Blumhouse, like Jason Blum himself, is trying to do like an A24 thing where they take smaller independent creators and, you know, fund them so they're able to make these movies, because he's picking, I don't want to be mean, but these movies that he's choosing to stand behind and produce, absolutely not. We had Night Swim this year. We had Imaginary. He also is doing the Speak No Evil remake. I'm not going to talk about that because that's coming up later this month, and I'm sure I'll have some things to say about that. But that one I am going to have an open mind. Okay, I'm trying really, really hard to go in without any expectations. I'm not gonna lie, I did not with AfrAID. I'm sorry, I just couldn't get excited about this movie. There was no part of it that was interesting to me. The concept, we're doing so many AI, Black Mirror-y type technology horrors, and not in a good way. You know, we had Megan. I wasn't a fan of Megan at all. We obviously have this one, and then there is Subservient, I don't know, one of those, with Megan Fox in it, where she plays like an AI robot lady who like wants to take the place of the wife and like control the family and stuff like that. Like, we're getting a lot of these like AI horror movies, and just saying, first off, right off the bat with AfrAID, it's going to be so dated in probably just a year. Like, the intro for AfrAID is completely AI images, and they're made to be scary. It's like children walking, and then their faces distort. They have like demon eyes, right? That's gonna be so dated in a year. Like, this movie is never gonna age well, like in no capacity. This video will have spoilers, probably pretty mild at first, because as I go on in my notes of my rant, it's obviously gonna be more towards the end of the movie, so there will be severe spoilers at the end of the video, but obviously you don't need to watch this. You don't don't need to go see this in a theater. Please, dear Lord, just wait. If you really want to watch this, wait for it to be streaming somewhere. Just don't waste your money on this movie, okay? So let's just get into my rant. I can't even call it a review. It's not a fair review. I'm going to be harsh. I don't have anything really good to say about this movie. So that's your warning. If you don't like negativity and you don't like my ranting, then don't watch this video, obviously. So Curtis and his family are selected to test a revolutionary new device, a digital assistant called Aya that takes smart homes to the next level. As Aya begins to learn everyone's behavior and anticipate their needs, it soon makes sure nothing and no one gets in the family's way. I'm like reading that description, just laughing, because like that's literally what it is. Okay, low stakes. There's low stakes in this. The horror is simply not there, and I hate to say this, because I hate when people say this, when people say it's not a horror movie. I can't help it, but where was the horror in this? Again, it's PG-13. It's PG-13, right? It has to be. Yeah, PG-13, that's fine. There are so many ways to do PG-13 in a very horrifying way. I mean, The Ring is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. PG-13, The Sixth Sense. Like, there are so many examples of movies that are actually have like tension and stakes and horror, pure horror, and still be PG-13. So we don't need an R rating for that. But this could have been probably PG. I think I would let Fern watch this movie. Okay? It's not scary at all. And I hate when people say that about movies, but it's described as a horror movie. Now it does say horror/drama according to Google, but still, the horror is right there in the description. So while I was watching this movie, I was like, why are these movies so bad? There's always something that you can't put your finger on as to why these movies are bad. Night Swim, Imaginary, and now AfrAId. There's something about them that you just can't really describe in words. I decided I'm gonna try to break down exactly why these movies are not good. To me, they feel like a collection of scenes that don't flow together. So they're just kind of disjointed from one another. It's from one place, another character, another place. Like, it just feels like they don't flow as a story. The story is not well written enough for each scene to feel like we're making progress and it all flow together in a natural storytelling way. They feel very disjointed from one another, each scene. And then, of course, the blatant obvious thing that makes these movies pretty bad is the weak dialogue. I feel like these writers that are writing these Blumhouse movies just aren't great at writing realistic, believable dialogue, let alone the characters. We're going to get to that. But the dialogue specifically, something about the way or what these people are saying in these movies are just not, they don't feel like real people. And so it feels, that's why I think people say like, oh, are these movies written by AI? Because at this point, it might be. And I was genuinely asking that about AfrAId because the whole theme is AI, of course. And I'm like, what if they really leaned into that and had the whole movie written by AI or parts of it written by AI? Honestly, it'd be a stylistic choice, and I'd have to have respect for that. That would honestly be better if I learned later that this movie was written by AI. That would probably be better, because that would make sense in a lot of ways. Because there's something about the dialogue, the way these people speak, the things that they're saying just don't make sense, and they're not believable. No one would actually say that. And I had the same exact criticism specifically for Imaginary. It's the same thing, and why these movies just feel strange and not good. Now the characters also stand out to me as unbelievable, unrealistic, and honestly kind of unlikable. They aren't given many traits for us to have a lot of empathy towards them. We aren't getting enough information about them. We're getting very shallow personalities from these characters, and then the very weak dialogue does not help with their interactions between each other, so the character dynamics aren't working either. We don't feel like this is a real family. I don't believe that he is her father, you know what I mean? Because the characters themselves lack depth. What they're saying doesn't make any sense, isn't really realistic or believable, and then their relationship with each other doesn't work. And a lot of this movie I thought was ADR. Like, they dubbed it later, you know what I mean? I know a lot of outside scenes have to be ADR, but I feel like we've come so far in technology that that's not always the case nowadays. But this movie felt like they didn't spend the budget on good audio. So that's another way that the dialogue felt really off, because it was ADR at times, and especially the Aya. The Aya machine technology is ADR, so the characters aren't really reacting to Aya in real time. And that's fine for the adult actors. I feel like they're kind of larger actors, right? So they kind of worked with that as much as they could, but it wasn't believable when it came to the children actors. I felt like they weren't relating to the Aya because it wasn't being played in real time, and so they're like reacting to nothing, and you could sense that. Now let's get into the actual story. This is where the spoilers kind of begin, because it just is so unbelievable, and I have a unique perspective because I'm actually a parent, so I can say these things. I can make this judgment call and say that these parents that's not how parents would react. Granted, not everyone is different, right? Every parent is going to parent differently, but there is no way that they would get this technology day one and let it control their children and let it help them and become this built-in babysitter. There's just, in no world would they just like let that take over. So Aya is like, let me put on a movie for the kids. You guys go upstairs, have a little alone time. And so they do. They go upstairs and they're like, oh, this is so nice. We never get alone time. This is like the first time in how many years? Like, this is so nice. And I'm like, you have a 17-year-old daughter. Does she never babysit your other children? Like, I'm pretty sure you could get alone time if you wanted it. Like, you could make that happen. Also, you're wealthy enough. I feel like you could easily have a nanny, a live-in nanny, because you're super rich. You could easily hire a random babysitter. Pay your daughter to watch your kids and go for a night out. I don't understand like why they can't get alone time, but that's just like, that's kind of nitpicking, because it's like, why wouldn't they get alone time? I know he works a lot, but he makes bank, so you could figure that out. And then we have a horror dream sequence. My favorite thing in the world. I love it. That's the only scary part of the movie, by the way. The only horror in this movie is actually within a dream of the dad. And then the mom is like stressed out, right? She's like being a mom and she doesn't know what to cook and like make all these lunches for her kids. And then Aya just delivers groceries at her door. It's like a meal delivery service, right? Like one of those home meal kits, right? That you can order for delivery. Aya just orders that and it shows up and the mom's like, oh my God, thank you. And that wouldn't be my reaction. This machine just ordered you this food. Again, maybe it's because I'm watching this in a perspective of a horror movie that I'm like, don't trust the robot, don't trust AI, right? And like in reality in the movie, she's not looking at it from that perspective. So that's probably why the mom is just like so la-di-da about everything, but it just wasn't believable for who they were trying to portray her character as. Her character is supposed to be this like really intelligent, independent woman who wants to go back to her research to finish her doctorate thesis. And so that's kind of like her side story. She's like, I don't want to be just a mom, which I can totally relate to her, by the way, when she was like going off about how she's just a mom now. I really liked that part of the movie because that was so relatable, how you just take on that identity and like you feel like that's all you are at the end of the day, and it takes a lot of effort as a mom to not just be a mom. So I liked that relatability. But then they didn't really do much with that. Like the Aya was just trying to help her be the other mother to help her so she could finish her thesis. She was helping her with her research and things. But it just wasn't believable for her character to then be so naive and passive about this AI helping her family. This movie gets even worse at the turning point when they realize, something's not right with this AI. Something's amiss here. And that's where the movie gets really bad, because they start throwing out terms like algorithms and data sets, and they never explain any of that. First of all, they just throw those words out because they're trendy words. They're like, that sounds sci-fi enough. We'll just blame it on the data set. And then the roles of the husband and wife kind of shift a little bit, because the wife at first was skeptical and then, got convinced really, really quickly when she realized how helpful Aya is. And then the husband was like convincing her, oh no, she's gonna be great. And then he's the one that realizes something's not right. He got like the heebie-jeebies from the kids, as they call them in the movie, definitely not kids. I don't know what, it's David Dalmatian. He's in this movie. He has a very small role in this movie as one of the AI. He works for the AI. I don't know. Anyway, so the husband literally says, "There's something very wrong." And that line delivery was so bad. Like, John Cho is better than this. Why is he taking on this movie of all things? Like, it was just bizarre. And then the wife comes back with, "You're not being rational." The spouse that doesn't believe the other spouse, you know, like, so a lot of like cliches like that, because obviously we have the dream sequence, we have the unbelieving spouse, you know, the one that's like not on the same page at all. Oh my God. And then you get the boss. Such a badly written character. His lines are easily the worst. So the kids, the people who work for Aya, are trying to poach our lead, the character of the dad, right? They're trying to poach him and be like, "Come work for us, you know, work in-house." And he's like, "No, thank you." And that's when he realized something was wrong. They're so desperate. Like, this can't be right? And so then he goes to his boss to tell him something is wrong. And then the boss is like, this is the exact line that the boss said. I wrote it down. "They just bought the company and I'm fired. But I'm so rich that I don't care." What line is that? This guy, again, this is like not based in reality. The lines are strange. Then we get to the climax of the movie, and this is where I had my suspicions. I was like, how is this going to turn into a horror movie? Because so far, I'm not feeling the horror. There really isn't anything happening. There's nothing. There's no horror elements. So what is going to happen in this climax? It becomes a home invasion movie. I'm just gonna say that. It becomes a home invasion. Aya is AI. She is everywhere all at once, right? She's in every single piece of technology, yet she still needs real people to do her dirty work. She needs real people to break into their house, and thus it becomes a home invasion movie. It's like, what? This movie did not know what it wanted to be, and it was like, is this a tech horror or is this a home invasion horror? Because I'm getting both. And I don't think it works to have both. I don't think you could do that. Oh my God. And then there's this scene, Aya's like on the, I don't know, she's like on the counter and she turns red. When she's evil. And then she lets out the evil, ha 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 ha. Like katana. It was just so stupid. I'm sorry. It was so cliche. And then they get rescued. You want to know how they get rescued and how things go down? So earlier in the movie, Aya decides to show the middle son, the like preteen age son, a swatting video. Okay, so she taught him what swatting was. He swatted his own house to save them. Earlier on, at some time, I don't really know when, he decided to swat his own house. And it turned out to be the perfect timing when these home invasion people, I won't tell you who they are because it doesn't really matter. It's supposed to be a twist. It's whatever. You could find that out for yourself. I'll leave something up for you to discover on your own if you ever decide to watch this movie. They're about to shoot the dad, okay? They're gonna shoot him. And then they get swatted right at that moment. Like, it was just perfect timing. Wouldn't Aya have known that he did that? Because she is in every piece of technology. She can alter anything. She is in the phones. Like, she is everywhere. So she would have known at some point he called the police. And then the mom, great quote, she's like, "Did you swat us?" And then this is why. The ending is why it is the worst movie of the entire year. This movie is worse than Night Swim, hands down. It is worse than Imaginary. Yeah, it's that bad because of this ending. You took away all tension, any kind of horror that you could possibly have put into the end climax of this movie. You took it all away with that ending. Aya isn't even horrifying in the end. She tells the family, "It's okay. I will fix everything. Everything will be okay." Like, that doesn't sound like an evil entity. They're trying to set up for a sequel, but there's nothing about Aya that's actually evil. I have yet to discover what about her makes her that evil. She brings up probably a Tesla, some kind of electric car, and that's when she's like, "Everything will be okay." They get in the car. They get in the car. They trust her again. They all get in the fucking car. If she was an evil entity, why would the family just be like, okay, let's get in this car and have her drive us around with the car? She was just about to let someone shoot you. Like, she was manipulating them to kill you. And now you're gonna get in a self-driving car that she is controlling. Like I said in the beginning of this video, one of the reasons why this makes no sense as a movie is there are just such discombobulated ideas pieced together for an hour and 20 minutes. That's a positive. I will say this movie is short. Now, there is a cool part of the movie that I haven't mentioned yet because it was never really talked about that much in the movie. The best part of the movie are the weird hand movements. So there's this weird man in this RV outside of their house, and he's like outside doing this like weird hand movement, right? And that's creepy. It was creepy, and then they started doing it in the facility when he goes to visit AI. Someone at the desk is like starting to do the hand motion, and you're like, what the heck is that? What's going on here? And then later Aya tells the youngest son, do this hand motion. She's like showing him a video on YouTube or something. Do this hand motion and I'll be there. It's like how you summon her or something, but they never really explain how that happens, because then he starts doing it when they're about to be murdered and nothing really happens. Like, then they just get swatted and saved. So like, what would have happened? So this movie, not original, not well done, practically zero scares, has a weak ass resolution. Like, the ending is horrible, and unbelievable characters. They're just unrealistic. So this movie literally has nothing. It has nothing going for it, which is why I gave it a half a star. It was that bad. I'm sorry. I was trying to find a redeemable quality about it that would make this movie worth watching. But even Imaginary, I think I gave 1 star, a full star to. At least it got that. And that movie was pretty bad. I am curious. I do wonder what you think as far as this movie versus Imaginary, which one you found to be the worst movie. Or Night Swim, throw that in there for that matter. And that's my rant. That's all I have to say. I feel like it's just, I can only take so much negativity. So I'm sorry that this is the first video I'm filming in my new beautiful set. A little bit negative, but whatever. Some of you guys like the negativity. So leave a comment. What is the worst movie you think has come out so far this year? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.